Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our VIP featured guest is an IT professional that shares she has finally accomplished a childhood dream by self-publishing her first children's book, The Kid Too Cool for Cats. She volunteers at the Dallas Animal Services and, with the help of other nonprofit organizations, Awwdoptable. And again, we're going to include the spelling of all of this so you got the resources too, because it is too cool. It's AWW, Awwdoptable, and Cat Behavior Solutions together have been able to save cats' lives. Laurie lives in Dallas with her husband and 3 cats and hopes to inspire other women to follow their dreams and write and publish a book that they have within them. Silhouettes, please help me welcome Laurie Yetzer. Hello, Laurie.
Hello, Amber. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast today. Super excited.
Oh, we are so grateful to have you. And I get a kick because I always read through the intros and I read the bios and all those great things. And as I'm reading yours, we're off track already, and that's me. But it's important because as I was reading at this time, with you, it just gave me pause because it's so amazing the good work that you do and that you're doing with the nonprofits and the Dallas Animal Services and the other organizations. So, side tangent, another quick kudos to you and all the work you're doing, but we're going to dive back in. But it's just so impressive. So impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so another side tangent, Laurie, it's such a joyful day to be with you as you share your silhouette of success story. And typically, I would start off by having our silhouettes share a little bit more about their background with the audience. However, today is an extra special day. So before we do that, I'd like to take a quick moment to recognize you, if I may. Do I have permission?
Yes, you do.
So, okay, silhouettes. So for our audience, cue the confetti, pop the cork, silhouettes, and help me welcome Laurie on her very special, fantastic, happy birthday. Laurie, happy birthday. And if you want to share which birthday it is, that is all you, girl, but so excited for you.
Thank you, Amber. Yes, it's a big one. It's a milestone one. At first, I wasn't sure I wanted to share it, but I think now I do. I'm turning the big 50 today to kind of show that age is just a number. And no matter how old you are, you can always achieve your dreams, because it's taken me a long time to finally fulfill one of my childhood dreams. So I'm kind of very excited to share this moment and to share it on your podcast today.
Well, we are so elated that you are with us today and taking time out on this special day. So thank you so much. With that said, I'm going to keep you on track so you can go celebrate all day long. Okay, my lady. So now it's your turn. Please share with the audience a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I grew up as a military brat. We moved around a lot. I lived in 3 countries and 7 states. So I always struggled with the where are you from? You can imagine with a military background, you have a very structured life. And so when I went to college, go figure, I went to my dad's university, Texas A&M University, and got a degree in accounting, which of course was my mom's major, and spent a long time like kind of going through accounting, but just not really loving it. Got to transition into IT, which I did love more, but it's still a lot more structured and sometimes didn't allow for some of that crazy creativity that you kind of have in you. As a child, I always wanted to write like a children's book, but I think, as many of us know, adulting gets in the way and you need to pay bills and do things to make money, to pay for rent. So I had gone through, and then I was at a job for 15 years in the financial investment industry. And when COVID hit, some of us like either were laid off or some of us just spent a lot more time working. And I got into a bad place where I was just working all the time. I had to get up like at 2 a.m. to check on jobs. I had to work on weekends because that was the time that we could release stuff. I dreaded getting up in the morning. I was crying all the time. And lucky for me, my husband sat me down and he said, "You need to do something." And I was scared. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in my late 40s. Who's going to want to hire me? What am I going to do? And he's like, "We'll be okay. Take some time off." So I finally got up the nerve, because for a lot of us, fear is a big factor in why we don't take that next leap. And I took that leap and decided to quit my job. And before looking for another job, I spent time just working on me. And you hear this a lot, like how important mental health is. I joined this amazing group called Bold Women's Society that helped, talk about confidence and like looking at your dreams. And I started to think about this and I was like, always wanted to write this book. And so I started finding classes, like online classes, and decided I'm going to do this. So spent time actually writing the book. I knew that the book was going to take a long time because when you do a children's book, there's lots of illustrations and everything else. So it's a long process. And worked on me and did what I call like a morning routine where I worked on meditation. I worked on affirmations. I worked on visualizations. Like I have a vision board right now, and it's so exciting to see how much of that's actually coming true now. Just exercising and reading, and then just lots of journaling, just writing about what I was feeling to get those emotions out. And then later on, I had a friend who ended up getting me a job. But during that time, I got to work on me and just been the happiest I've been in a long, long time. So excited to help promote my book and share that even though I am now 50, you can still reach your dreams.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, okay. It's always interesting. You think, okay, I've got blah, blah, blah. I've got my structure. Okay, we're ready. I've learned, I know her a little bit. I was,
Yeah.
for the audience, I was able to meet her in person and purchase a book. But okay, so you just blew me away. So I've got to back up now. Now I'm
Okay.
throwing my
Okay.
script out the window here. Like my questions. Yeah, off script. Okay, so I can tell you your voice, you just have, I think the word that comes to my mind right now would be gleeful. Your energy and your joy in your voice is just like off the charts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was the most amazing thing actually getting to accomplish a childhood dream and like
Yeah.
holding a book in your hand, because in my industry, especially in IT, a lot of the stuff I do is back end. And so there's
Mhm.
nothing to really show. It's like I work on the database side, which is almost like a giant spreadsheet, which is not very exciting. But when you get to hold something, and one of my friends compared it to birthing a child. I don't have children, so I can't say. But she's like, when you put all
Yes.
that effort and then you finally see it come to fruition, it's just the most exciting thing.
It's a tangible treasure. You can, like you say, you can put your hands on it, and man, what a gift that you're giving to all of us that we're able to read that. So okay, so now we're going to move into it. Um, let's brag on you some more and share with us about the book and the inspiration behind the book.
Sure. So, about 7 years ago, my husband and I were walking through the Deep Ellums Art Festival. And I actually took art history, love art, and I fell in love with a painting. It just stopped me in my tracks. It was by an artist named Mackenzie Fisk, and it was of a little boy wearing sunglasses, rolled up jeans, a white T-shirt, and he's standing next to this magnificent tiger. And it just instantly made me think, oh my gosh, that kind of reminds me of my husband as a little boy. And then I have a cat that looks like a tiger. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, looking at that painting, I was like, the kid too cool for cats. My husband hated cats. And so Ty and him had all these little antics and stuff. And it was a fun story. And I kept thinking this would be fun to write to show how cats are, because cats have all sorts of shenanigans, just as dogs do, to show that, but then to show this friendship, being born. So I'd always had this idea and I would toy with it, and I like had the picture. And when I finally quit my job, I actually went and grabbed that painting and just looked at it. And that was like, I was like, I need to do this. I've been dreaming about this book. I have these ideas in my head. I need to finally get this out there.
That is so awesome. And sometimes in the moments we're least expecting it, right? We'll see that
Yeah.
inspiration to help pull us out. So, talking through a little bit about the work you and then the creative you, where you were able to do this, do they differ? Do you think did you come more alive when you were writing the book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes work, Lori's a little bit on the lame side because sometimes, I'm database developing, and with
Yeah.
database developing, I'm just siloed and I'm writing SQL code. And it's a lot of if then statements. So, again, when people ask about my real job, I'm like, it's not always the most interesting. And but it's very necessary. And the job I have now is fantastic. I work with amazing, wonderful people, like great decision there. But I do find myself a lot more reserved, less creative, less speaking up more. And then when I got to write the book, you get to be creative and you get to be ridiculous. As reading the book, you have things that happen. Like people are like, where did the snake come from? I was like, beauty of children's book. You can use your wild imagination, like having a cat play drums. You wouldn't expect that. But these were fun things that you could do that you can't do in real life. So it was super fun just tapping into that creative side. And I live in this amazing community. I don't know if you've heard of Bishop Arts.
Uh-huh.
So we live in walking distance, and we've got to meet just like these creative, beautiful souls. Like they're singers, they're actors, they're artists, burlesque dancers that just are like exude creativity. And when you're around these people, it just kind of rubs off on you. It's very different than the people I work with on my day-to-day real job environment.
Yeah, and for the audience that's in Dallas, and I remember when it was just on the cusp of becoming Bishop Arts. So, what a great escape for you, right? From the
Yes.
you get to have the benefits of both worlds, right? You so what a great escape. Okay, so once again, we're going to continue to congratulate you on your book, but on your milestone birthday and all of these accomplishments, and celebrating the opportunity for you to spend that time on yourself. What a gift. And the support of your husband. Sometimes we need our partners or spouses or friends or family to say, okay, time out.
Yeah.
I love you, you need a time out, to help us with that. In talking specifically about maybe the book or another goal, you referenced your vision board and how exciting that is. When someone is going through maybe the path of self-publishing, and is a little stuck or a lot stuck, what what would you tell them? And maybe also with that, what do you wish someone told you before you started writing your book?
So a few things I wish someone. So marketing something I'm new to, and I'd wish I had spent a lot more time on that, because that's one of the things when you self-publish, you are fully responsible for marketing your book. And I'm like, ooh, my social media skills need some help here. How do I get this out to people other than, the people I know? So marketing's a big one. Another one is when you do a children's book, you don't realize how important book size is, because when you have regular books that are usually the same normal size, I ended up making all kinds of mistakes, Amber. I picked I thought a 10 by 8, realized that wasn't an option, had to completely redo it. So it's a landscape version. And when you do landscape, you realize very few of the self publishing companies do landscape. So that was another gotcha right there. But I'm finding just from like YouTube, there's all sorts of great information on like, here's great books, like self-publishing sites for books like Ingram Spark, Kindle Direct Publishing. You can learn about royalties. Because a friend of mine had published a memoir for her dad and just sent that out. She had mentioned one, and that was the one I went with. I wish now I had gone back and done maybe a little bit more research to learn about the royalties, what was involved here, what was involved in getting, some of these to like local bookstores, local libraries. So those are some of the things I wish I'd learned on. I did learn a lot about things I never thought I would, such as trim size and font size and fonts, because again, a regular book, it's pretty standard. But when you start to do a children's book, there's a lot more freedom on the fonts. So I never thought I'd spend so much time working with my illustrator trying to figure out, oh, what font do we want? Oh, now we've got a font. What font size do we have? What's a normal size in between there? So just all sorts of crazy things.
How long was your journey in all of that process?
It was about a year. I started
Uh-huh.
the class in actually a little over a year. In January 2021, I found this amazing online class called 2 Weeks to Your Best Children's Book. I'll tell you right now, it takes a lot longer than 2 weeks to your best children's book. Because we went through my husband, I don't think like I made him read so many draft versions of the book. He's like, please do not let me read this again. Then I have a college roommate who's a journalism major, tapped into her. I reached out to my sister-in-law who's studying for her PhD to get her advice. And then I actually reached out, the guy who did the class is a content editor for children's books. So he gave some just fantastic advice on how to make the book better. And then once I kind of got that editing, I'm not a drawer, so I had to find an illustrator. And I had more of a limited budget. And I don't know if you've ever heard of a website called Fiverr. It's fantastic. So you can go in there, look, and I would send off like basically requests to some of the illustrators saying, hey, can you draw this cover so that I could find a cover I liked? And then I finally found an illustrator and I liked his cover and I was not expecting him, Amber. He's like, okay, instead of telling me what you want, he's like, I want you to sketch out every single page of the book. So you should see these stick figures and deranged looking cats, that I had to draw and stuff. The guitar, like people were like, what is that? I was like, it's obviously a guitar,
Yeah,
So.
clearly you can see it.
But the illustration process, I have a fun little page on my website with the blog where you can kind of see just like how I took my sketch and then like the illustrator would come back with a sketch and then we'd make notes and then he would do another sketch. And then once we had a sketch right, he'd put the font to see if the layout looked okay. And then once we got that, he'd add the color. So it was a good 6 months of going back and forth. Now, as I mentioned, because I messed up on the book size. It was actually 8 by 10 and not 10 by 8. He had to go through and then like kind of resize all the drawings so that they would work. So that added to it. And then I ended up reading this book called Published and was learning about launch teams. So that kind of delayed some of the process. So like at the end of March is when I finally did self-publish, my first children's book. We got it on Ingram Spark and that reaches out to Amazon and then had it loaded on the Kindle version as well.
Wow. So talk about for the love of the project, right? The collaboration but you probably have a book within everything that you've learned in itself.
I know I need to go
Yeah.
back and I wanted to start doing
Mhm.
some more blogs on just like the whole process because like I said,
Yes.
there's like an illustration process. There's just a process, like just things like I said, it was like trim size and font size and trying to figure out the layouts and then just learning more about, how like the Kindle Direct, like trying to get it in the appropriate formats, trying to get it uploaded. and then like just learning more about the marketing. And I still have a lot to learn on the marketing side of things. But you're absolutely right. I was like, I need to start writing down some of these things. And it was especially great because after I wrote that, there's when I had friends, they were like, hey, I saw you publish a children's book. I've always wanted to do one. And so I'm like, oh, here's some of the steps I took, to try and get the first children's book and stuff.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All that growth within the growth. Oh my gosh. So thinking maybe on that, or even in your pay the bills career, can you share with our audience maybe some positive adjustments that you made in that time or at any point to help support your growth, and maybe even these dreams and goals, or what you're accomplishing, again, on that beautiful vision board you've got going on? What are some positive adjustments that you've made in your life?
One of the big things is at the end of 2022, one of the things that really just got shattered was my confidence. And confidence was something I really needed to work on. So on my vision board, I actually have a quote that says, self-confidence is a superpower. Once you start to believe in yourself, magic starts to happen. And so when I joined the group Bold Women's Society, one of the big things they kept going on about was confidence. And they're like, start to write a list. You'll be amazed at all the things you've done that you forget about when you start going into your little self-pity party. Like you're like, oh my gosh, remember, like 10 years ago, you actually ran a marathon. You got certified in scuba diving. You hosted the first Oryx Foundation golf charity tournament, and you just start writing down these things and you're like, oh wow, I forgot I did all this stuff. I went and put all of this. So having written down like a lot of this started to help me believe in myself again and go, okay, Laurie, you can do this. You can go and write this children's book. You can go and be in a job and start to enjoy yourself again. And then I think once you start to have confidence, things just open up for you.
It goes back to something you pointed out earlier, which I call a four-letter word, is fear,
Yes.
and unfortunately, we let that get the better of us sometimes if we're not paying attention or if we're not confident, right? We've got to sometimes take some of us a lot longer
Yes.
to,
Yes.
to figure these things out, but we do. Oh, that's amazing. I think we're going to take a quick break now because I want to jump into some more of these things and not have to stop. So let's take a quick break, Laurie,
Okay.
hear from this episode sponsor, and we'll be right back.
Is it time to sell your home? Build that dream home? Right size? Or are you ready to invest in real estate? Couture Real Estate Firm is a local female-owned independent brokerage laser-focused on services exclusively tailored to our clients' real estate goals. With our forward-thinking business model, we have a fully mobile, luxury real estate concept allowing convenience, flexibility, efficiency for our clients in style. Amber Weitzer, broker-owner of Couture Real Estate Firm, has over 20 years in the real estate industry and is a second-generation broker. She provides straightforward business practices, integrity, and intelligence with a commitment to a high-touch, consistent customer service experience. We take great pride in our reputation as a strong, referral-based brokerage. Discretion, tenacity, respect, and proactive business practices have earned Couture Real Estate Firm a loyal, repeat client business with a trusted global partner network. We strive for ultimate client satisfaction with successful results, doing it with class, consciousness, and a little avant-garde. In addition to serving our clients and vendor partners, we are extremely honored to be actively engaged in supporting the communities we serve by promoting small businesses, schools, and nonprofits. Real estate is direct sales business at its core, and we are highly trained sales professionals with the Mike Ferry organization, adding dimension to the industry. Passionate about customer service, dedicated to client satisfaction, and driven to achieve successful results for our clients. Call Couture Real Estate Firm today at 817-233-7239 to discuss your real estate goals.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Okay, Laurie, I mentioned there's some things I didn't want to break out and take that break. So, how about thinking back and reflecting? Was there ever a specific point in time, event, or key situation in your professional life that did force you to take a monumental shift? And you may have touched on it earlier with your career. And if you can think of an example to share, what was the result of that, positive or painful, and how did it help you grow?
I'm going to bring up a couple. So the COVID one was a big one, but I'm going to start early in my career, and maybe this was destined to show where I would end up. One of my early jobs was as an internal auditor. I quickly realized I hated this job. It just wasn't a good fit for me. I was working at a bank, traveling, stuck in a room all day. And it was like all we wanted to do is I felt like write bad things about people. And I ended up, Amber, I'm ashamed, I wrote these little stories. I wrote
Hmm.
Audit Wars. I wrote Jurassic Audit, about Groundhog Audit, about how I wanted to escape. And unfortunately, when you're really young, you do dumb things. I had forwarded the emails to a few people. Everyone thought they were funny. They got forwarded, and it eventually got to my big manager, and she did not find these funny. So I had that uncomfortable actually getting fired from my first job, So they packed up the box and everything like that. I remember even the HR person saying, she's like, you're very creative and funny. And And at the time, we all go through
Oh,
that major depression, but that was
mhm.
actually the catalyst that kind of led me into a temporary job and another job that helped get me into more of the IT path. And that little book would come, into play because like later on I was in another job and they had values that they wanted to write and everyone else kind of just did this presentation. We made it a news story and I made characters because we were in accounting like general ledger and bean counter and tried to make it fun. So I'd kind of forgot, like I always did these little cheesy little stories. So they were always there. And I always enjoyed doing that. That like just lit me up. And then when COVID happened, I kind of retraced, thought back to those and I was like, I really need to work on, creating these stories. But like a lot of times our darkest moments, they happen and they open up a new door for you. I mean, at the time I got fired, I was devastated, but it was the best thing to happen to me because I was not a good fit for internal audit. And it led me into a job at the time that I enjoyed until like they had, the rounds of layoffs and stuff. And when COVID happened and I was at my darkest point, I mean, Amber, I was crying every day, just dreading getting up in the morning. And that's what I kind of hope by sharing some of my stories here that other women that have gone through this feel there's hope for them as well to go and achieve these things that they've had inside of them, these dreams that they've had. Because if that hadn't happened, I would have never written this children's book.
But you're right. It is in those dark moments, and those stay with us. They just do. But without that blessing in disguise, we say that because at the time it was
Yeah.
just. I mean, again, I was putting myself, if you will, as best I could in the moment in how you may have been at the time and feeling that. But it is now at the age of 50 and celebrating such a great milestone that you're able to probably release a little bit of the pain or that you just want to clench your jaw when you remember the story.
Yeah.
But if that HR person wouldn't have said that to you in that moment, you probably wouldn't have been able to pull that back from the recess of your,
Right.
and wow, turn it into just such an absolute celebration to what you've accomplished. What a joy in that.
Yeah, thank
Ah,
you. Like I said, at the time, it was devastating, but
yeah.
hindsight's always 2020. And again, best like each of these darkest moments have led into
Hmm.
like the best things that have happened to me.
And timing. It's all about the timing and when you're ready. Oh, wow. It's a tough story, but it's a great story, if I may. Because it's so relatable to all of us. And so I think you are definitely helping to inspire because you're already helping me. So that is, when you can bring that out and bring it to the forefront and be vulnerable to share that, and then show what it's created for you today. That's fantastic. So, as we talk through a little bit more, and maybe more about you. When do you feel you're at your best?
Sometimes I miss this, but I used to love going for a walk around the park. And like I'd sit on this bench and I'd watch the water feature, the ducks, and I would just write. And it would just be like, it could be nonsense. It could be just about what I was seeing, but I was just in a happy place, just having nature around me, just being able to breathe the fresh air. Because a lot of times, especially when you're an IT professional job or something like that, even though I get to work from home, I'm just stuck at a desk, a good 8+ hours a day. So just getting outside invigorates me. And like I said, that park was my happy place. I love to go and take a notebook out there and just like scribble down my thoughts, what I'm seeing, anything like that. Put me in my best and would help me eventually even come up with some of these ideas, for books and other items.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Fresh air does us wonders, doesn't it?
It does.
Stepping out in a way and being in that nature. Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, my lady, I'm watching the clock here.
Okay.
But there's a couple things I always want to get in. So we all crave great resources to help continue to inspire us, like you are, uplift and expand our minds, or maybe even encourage us. Do you have, besides your book, a favorite book or resource or mentor that you'd like to share with us?
I'm going to share a few. One, my husband, I find extremely inspirational. I find him just amazing. He's an electrical engineer by day. He plays in a band, and in fact, that's how I met him. He also does lights and sounds. So, like now that we're in the Bishop Arts community, people are finding about his talents. He does amazing woodworking. He's made these beautiful, like cutting boards and stuff, and given them, to family and friends. Help build tables. And watching him, he inspired me to want to do more than just have the normal 9 to 5 job. I was like, I don't have his talents, but what talents can I dig inside myself? And then I'd like to talk about, I had a friend who's published their own book, and it was called The Pursuit of Growth. I bought it before I quit my job, but then I didn't read it. And then when I did end up quitting the job and taking the sabbatical, I decided to take time and just read the book. And it was just amazing. And it started me on the journey of wanting to learn more about just growth, the growth mindset, and reading more books, and even going back to the oldies but goodies like Napoleon Hill's, like How to Get Rich and stuff, or, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, like just how much those have stood the test of time on building up your mental health and just self-confidence.
Oh, that's fantastic. And do you know the author's name? The Pursuit
Yes,
of Growth?
Greg Brinkley and Sammy Gonzalez. They're friends of mine, and it was one of those that they had started doing some blogs and just inspirational blogs. And then Bold Women's Society was another one, because I think we've talked about, as you're younger and stuff, you feel like women just want to tear each other down. And now that I want to be around women that just want to build each other up and make them see the potential. And Bold Women's Society helped, do that for me, as it's helping other women as well.
Excellent. Thank you. So again, we'll make sure and we include those favorites in the resource section of the notes here. So, okay, my lady, I hate to do it, but I've got to start letting you go. I don't want to
Okay.
go, but I have to let you go. So, Laurie, it has been such a pleasure visiting with you today. And as we begin to wrap up and keeping the promise with our audience to share intentional inspiration, would you happen to have a piece of key go-to advice that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I'm going to share two. One, it's just, you're never too old to achieve your dreams. And then believe in your dreams no matter how impossible they seem.
Okay, life wisdom right here, silhouettes. Love that. And again, because she's proof of that. Oh, so special. All right, the stage is yours, and we're going to help you with that marketing component. And
Fantastic.
yes, we're going to please share with our audience where they can go and connect with you, support you in your continued success, and promote or purchase your book.
Okay. Um, my website is ldydreamventures.com. My initials are LDY, and I think it's fun because it's like a shortened version of lady, so a lady that dreams. And then on Facebook, I am at LDY Dream Ventures. And the book is available on Amazon and also from my website, and it's called The Kid Too Cool for Cats.
Fantastic. And I did not catch, of course, I've checked out your website and I've done all that. A lady that dreams. That
Yes.
just gave me chills. I love that. Okay, Laurie, I got to let you go. I know it's a busy day. So thank you once again for sharing some time on your 50th birthday and sharing your silhouette of success with us. You are an awe-inspiring inspiration for me and for us all. And we wish you a happy, beautiful birthday. And thank you once again for joining us.
Thank you so much, Amber. This is my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out and join us for all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. Amber would love to hear from you, and you can find her on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or head over to amberweitzer.com. Let's connect. Help us all shine and leave us a review too. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at amberweitzer.com. We are honored, humbled, and full of joy that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success.